Hello, welcome to the West Ham Grumble on Irons United with me, Alf Gasparo. So, what a week it's been in the West Ham world. Yes, look, we entertained, loosely I say, entertained Everton on Saturday afternoon at the London Stadium. And look, let's just crack straight into the match, shall we? Beforehand, I was hoping, as I always do, for like a 5-1 win, and but I think realistically, I said, 1-0 win. If we could just scrape that, I think it would be a really tight match. And actually, for once, my kind of prediction was right, although the scoreline wasn't. It was a tight affair. I think we bossed the first half. I think they were having lots of mistakes. We were sort of pressing, creating chances, getting on the wings, eventually getting the ball in. So I think we had a really decent first half. I think they had a better second half and we had a not so good second half. But look, we still had chances. They had chances as well. We should have put, my initial prediction of 5-1, it could have been a reality if we put those chances away. Haller missed a couple. There was, Diop had a great glancing header, for the goal from Snodgrass, a free kick, which is, look, I've got to say this, and I know I'm rambling a little bit here, but I've got to say this about Snodgrass. For me, I said right at the start of the season that he's the one who's always shown it for me. And the more I see him, the more, I know Bonner's had a great season as well, but for me, I don't know if you agree. Let me know in the comments below. But for me, he's my hammer of the year. He will be now. Even no matter what happens, he's going to be my hammer of the year. Because he's one who consistently puts in a good, determined performance. Regardless of quality, he's always doing it. So for me, anyway. So, and again, he was the man of the match for me. He was the one who was really showing. I will say this, that about our player, we were tending to concentrate on the left-hand side a lot more than actually utilising the right-hand side. So Snodgrass, a lot of the time, was not even in the game and probably needed a rest, really, because when he was, in the game, he was actually doing quite a lot. Ably supported by Zabaleta behind him. I think that worked well between them two. He put in a good shift in yesterday, which is really good. I think defensively we were at times a little bit unsure, but overall I thought we were better. Cresswell, I thought, had a half decent game. A little bit hesitant to come forward, I would say, from Cresswell to sort of overlap, with Fornals in that first half. And we could see it, down in the corner flag, there was a little bit of hesitancy. There was times he was trying to get a cross in, it didn't quite work. Certainly noticed a difference in tactics from the corners, whereas Cresswell would be taking the corners from the left-hand side of the pitch, as we're attacking, whereas before it would be Snodgrass coming over to whip one over. So that was a definite ploy, certainly in the first half, and this is what, subtle changes that Moyes is making. Look, it wasn't great. I don't think either team played really well. And I don't think either team, were kind of setting the world alight in terms of quality. And I think we had the better of the show. Certainly on the first half performance, definitely we should have won. Second half performance, kind of even Stevens. Look, we took the lead through the Diop goal, as I said, from the Snodgrass free kick. And it was great, I was saying to my lad at the time, I was saying to the fellas around me, I said, look, it's coming. There was a lot of dissension there. There's a lot of, impatience. There's a lot of, from the crowd, we want it so badly, so much, that we can be kind of a little bit negative, overly negative at times. But at the same time, it's like, it's coming. It's almost there. It's within touching distance, I think. And I certainly felt that on that game. And it was very similar to other games, recent games, that it's almost there. We're almost doing something quite good. Look, we definitely need to improve in the final third, but it's good that we're getting crosses in the box. We need more of it. We need more of that. We need a lot more movement from the players. And I'll get onto Haller in a minute, because I think we can all agree that it wasn't the best outing from him. Lanzini, again, I don't think it was a good outing from him as well. But, in the middle of the park, Rice, Noble, I think they had lots of endeavour. They tried. Yeah, there's a few errors here and there, but at the same time, there's also some really good stuff from Rice. Good interceptions, good plays. Same from Noble as well. He was really pushing on in the first half as well. At the back, Diop and Ogbonna had a good partnership, I thought. Randolph, I can't really not talk about Randolph. He had a half decent game, I thought. He didn't really have much to do certainly in the first half. The second half, he had one kind of dive and it parried out, and he kind of almost put it into the path of one of the Everton players. If they got onto it, we would have been slating him big time for doing it. But look, I think I was directly in line with that, and I could see he was sort of stretching to get it and to push it out of danger. Look, first game back, we can't, get too heavy-handed on the fella, I don't think. But I think, look, overall, I think he did quite well. I think overall, our grit and determination is better. It's not quite there. It's not quite the level I'd wish to see it, but I think it's better. I think it's difficult for them to maintain that kind of performance for the full 90 minutes. We know that. We're seeing that. But certainly, as soon as the second half started, Everton had come out on the front foot. They were putting us under pressure. And that kind of knocked us a little bit. And it took us a while to get back into the game. Look, we were missing players. They were missing players. As I say, it wasn't a great outing from either team. But I think, look, do you know what? It was a decent point. It wasn't a loss. That's the most important thing. We got something out of the game. We should have won it. We could all argue it was a must-win game for us because of the predicament that we find ourselves in. But I actually think it was a well-earned point. We'll go to Leicester next. If we can get another point there, or if we dream for a win, fine. But, at least get something out of that, or at least a really good performance. Then we got the cup game. This is all about building momentum. I wanted to touch on Moyes, okay, because I think it comes down to our expectation, and it comes down to how much we're really wanting Moyes to, flick the switch and away we're going and everything will be roses. I just don't think that's happening right yet. We've seen improvements, no doubt, in work rate, in commitment, in more direct play, and more ability to hit the flanks and try and get crosses in. And defensively, I think overall we're starting to be a little bit more gritty, more determined in that regard. But look, there's no doubt we have to improve all over. There's no doubt that each individual player has to improve, but collectively as a unit we have to improve. Randolph coming in now, I was undecided whether it was the right decision or not to bring him in straight away. But you've got to say, well, on paper he would definitely be a better keeper than Martin. And certainly for Roberto for us. But, I was pleased it was a decent performance from him. I'm not going to blame him for the goal they scored, which they equalised just before, half-time. Set plays again, relatively poor defending, not picking up runners coming in the 6-yard box. I think, Diop was sort of standing around wondering. It's quite difficult to see where I was because it was at the other end of the pitch. But, on the replays which I saw afterwards, there seemed to be a bit of static motion. That flick on from the other lad, and then Calvert-Lewin got in there. Look, it is. We conceded, but at least we didn't capitulate. I think that's the favourite word of ours recently, isn't it? At least we didn't capitulate. At least we didn't down tools, and it could have easily happened. And at one point I thought, here we go, it's going to start again. Because they were starting to get in. They had a much better second half, as I said. They were starting to get have a bit more success. They had a few efforts on goal that went wide. We, had our chances, as I say. But I'm not going to be overly critical on Moyes. I think, essentially the formation was working. I think the players were working. I think, we're lacking depth because of the injuries. We're missing that drive in that final third from Antonio. I think we can all agree here. This is not just me saying it or a couple of other people. I think we can all agree that we're missing that drive. And that drive is not coming from Haller. It's as simple as that. Regardless of if he's in the right position or not, if he's in his favourite position, if he's getting the service, all this kind of stuff. He starts off, I always think he starts off quite well. And then it just kind of fades, unless, like in, when he scored, that great goal for us. But even then, it was kind of it wasn't a great performance, I think, from him. And I think maybe it's just the body language, the way he kind of ambles around, for me, doesn't really fill me with the enthusiasm to really want to cheer him on. He's not a scrapper. He's not somebody who's sort of horsing, herring around, I should say. Just to try and get into positions and make runs and everything. It's almost like he wants it to feet, and then or he'll attack the 6-yard box, and maybe he'll get something. But I think he's got to improve, definitely. Lanzini's got to improve as well. He seems to be away with the fairies at the moment. He seems to be jogging around. It's not really working out for him. Confidence. It always comes down to confidence. Always, get a run in games. I think Moyes has got confidence in them, as Haller and Lanzini. I don't think they're giving us as a fan base confidence in them right now with their performances. But look, it's a long way to go to the end of the season. We've got a really tough run of games now. I thought it wasn't a total disastrous performance. I think you can agree, but I don't think it was a terrible performance either. It was a kind of a grumble with a few oi-ois in there, if you know what I mean. And that's why I was, toying over what to call this video today. But, it's turned out to be a grumble. Look, 1-1 result, not a great performance. Some individual good performances, I think. Moyes, I think, got it essentially right. I think the substitutions he made were interesting to the point that I wouldn't have taken Fornals off instead of Lanzini, because I thought Lanzini had a poor game. I thought Fornals had a decent game, unless there was something that I missed, unless there was a little knock or a niggle or something like that. He did start the second half a little bit slower, in all fairness to Fornals, so perhaps that's what it was. A Jetty came on. Yeah, there's a couple of decent things, but not great. I mean, I saw later in the head motion hitting the defender. Look, I think Moyes is one of those players. He's not going to stand for it. He's going to pull him aside and say, "You do that again, you won't be playing for me again," because he's got form in this regard. Moyes, he won't stand for that sort of nonsense. So I think there's a discipline. They've got to tighten up on discipline, yes. But they've, I think, as I was saying to my lad, there are green shoots. Those little old green shoots are there. I think, we can hold on to that because, if they can just put out getting performances and eke out little draws or eke out, narrow wins, get a few points over the next few games, I think we may just, survive this season. But it's tough. Let's be in a low legion. This is going to be a tough run-in now for us. Hopefully we can get a bit of a run-in, on the cup. But, I'm not here to have a massive grumble on, all the players and Moyes. I think it's still too early to really pass judgment on him and on them. I think, this is survival mode. This is a rescue mode from Moyes. I think, if he was at the start of the season, he was our manager and we're in the predicament that we're in, I would be leading the charge in, having a go at him, of course. But no, so we've got to give him a bit of opportunity. How much do we give him? That's another story, and that's another question, possibly for another day. But I think, really, it's towards the end of the season, then you start again, a fresh draw line in the sand for next season, really. I mean, that's the way I'm going to approach it for now. I'm sure I'll have my moans and groans and grumbles, as I always do. But, that's it. Look, so overall, I thought the game was decent. I thought there was, at times, a really good atmosphere in the stadium as well. There was, like a cacophony of sound of irons, being, almost reverberating around the stadium at times. So I think, as a collective, as a fan base, we're trying to get it a little bit better at times. But it sort of dies out really quickly, but then it starts up and again. And I think this definitely comes from the players as well. If they give us something, we'll give them something back. It's very hard to cheer on something that's really depressing. And I don't think it was depressing yesterday. I think it was just not quite there. I think, as I say, green shoots were nearly there, but not quite there. But I'd say, all in all, not too bad. Look, I'm going to say a quick thing about the protest yesterday. I walked past it, I saw it. As I was there, I know there's been reports of some people saying there's only a couple of hundred people. Other reports saying it's like 2,500 people, whatever. What I can say when I'm there, it was all on the grassy knoll, and it was, I'd say, at the time that I walked by was about 1:30, 1:45-ish, about 1:30. It was about in the region of, I don't know, late hundreds, high hundreds, 800, 900, possibly 1,000. Earlier on, I saw pictures later on, there was more people stood on the bridge as well, watching it as well. But let's say, I don't say, I'd say the figure was higher rather than lower, put it that way. Anyway, in terms of what they're trying to achieve, look, I don't think there's many people, as I said before, that are in favour of the board and what they do and how they've run the club. And I've criticised them so much over the years and all that kind of stuff, and all the move and all that kind of stuff and all the lies and everything. We can go over that infinitum. I think, in principle, having a peaceful protest, static process is a great thing. But I suppose the question I would ask is, one, how effective is it going to be? I suppose that's what a lot of people are going to ask. How effective is it going to be? What are you going to do to get the rest of the fan base involved, if you can? Those who really engage with the process, let's say. But also, I suppose the next thing is, well, what next? Do you have a protest at every home game? Do you get bigger? Do you scale it up a little more? I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's interesting times. I think it's good that they're trying. I think it's good that they're trying to draw attention to a lot of the issues that we all feel passionate about. But it'd be interesting to see how it goes, and also how effective it is. Because I just wonder how much of an influence we as a fan base can have anymore in terms of the modern game, in terms of the Premier League, the money and everything like that. Perhaps, look, it's a good place to start, I think, and it's a good place to. It was a good place to show that there is a movement there, that people are caring about it. And I was listening to it from just away, as say 100 yards away or something like that. There was good stuff being said. I've seen footage of speeches and everything. So it's all decent stuff. It's not as if it's they're saying stuff that they shouldn't be or inciting violence or anything. It seems to be a really positive, a peaceful protest, and the right to protest and the right to demonstrate, against it. And we're lucky in this country to have that ability to do it. How effective is it going to be? Only time will tell. What's their next move? Only time will tell. Is it going to be more protests? Only time will tell. I think, certainly the consensus opinion is, for the team, for the support, that's never going to change. It's obviously everything else that support is going to change for. But anyway, look, it was good to meet up with a lot of people. It's good to speak to a few people there. It's good for a couple of you to come over and say hello to me as well. That was really good. Now I am going to try and do a few interviews, video interviews, with a few individual fans. If you want to appear on a West Ham Confidential show or a Grumble or an Oi show in the future, what you need to do is get onto the website here. Look, Irons United, ironsunited.wordpress.com, and actually send in an email and say, hey Alf, I'd like to be on your show, and give us your email and all that kind of stuff, and let us know if any particular topics you want to talk about, or if you want to come and meet us at any of the home games at the Supporters Club, West Ham Supporters Club, just at the last drop bar, just by the Orbital. That's where we are. So anyway, Supporters Club, that's where you'll find us before and after, most of us anyway. If you want to appear in a future video, get in touch on the website. If you want to leave loads of comments, please do on any of the points. Let us know what you think of the protest. Let us know what you think of the Moyes, the team, the players, the board, the stadium, everything West Ham. Let us know. Anyway, I'm going to slurp this because I've been going on too long. Just want to say, look at that. Look what I was given. Very nice. And look, I was also given some aftershave as well. You see? That's from a grateful nation, I would say. Right. Cheers then. Ta-ra.